Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Charlie Graves, CEO of Athletic Republic, the industry's leading performance sports training center franchise, proving that science-based training is the best way for serious athletes to improve. The company has been using its method for the last 27 years, using their test, teach, train approach. I'm going to talk to Charlie about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Charlie Graves, CEO of Athletic Republic, the industry's leading performance sports training center franchise, proving that science-based training is the best way for serious athletes to improve. Hi, Charlie. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marty. Thanks for having me. Glad to be on Franchise Interviews this morning.
Thank you, Charlie. The pleasure is mine. You know, once I started reading about your franchise, I said, wow, this is a really amazing opportunity. And what really impressed me is that the long history of maybe you could talk a little bit about the history of Athletic Republic, and how the whole thing actually got started.
Sure. It's a great story. Our founder, a guy named John Frappier, was on the U.S. delegation to the Goodwill Games in 1986. He was part of the gymnastics community. The Goodwill Games, if any of you were around at that point, was the first time that both America and Russians competed in over a decade. We boycotted the 80 Games. They boycotted the 84. And so Ted Turner decided, hey, let's put the Goodwill Games together in 86. And at those games, Russians won every gold medal in gymnastics, every gold medal in boxing, almost every gold medal in track and swimming. They dominated. And the first thing people said was, oh, my gosh, they figured out the new drug that the East Germans hadn't figured out yet. The Russians said, no, it's physiology. We figured out how to train the body. Think Rocky IV and Ivan Drago.
Yes.
And so they invited five physiologists to stay for a month in Russia and learn what they had done. And so John Frappier, our founder, was part of that group and spent a month in Russia learning what they had developed over that past 10 years. And the first thing he saw were these athletes being towed behind a pickup truck at 20 miles an hour. They're jumping on and off the back of the truck, and they're being explained this is the way overspeed training should work.
Right.
That way, we could get athletes to run faster than their bodies are allowing. And so over the course of a month's time, John walked away with a better understanding of periodization, which is the rest recovery cycles that athletes follow today, plyometrics, which is what we use now to help foot speed and change of direction, as well as overspeed training. And it took him 4 years to put it together, but in 1990, he introduced for peer acceleration sports training, which debuted with high-speed treadmill, some specialized equipment that he created that wouldn't require us to get on and off of pickup trucks, and and an ability to start training athletes speed, power, and agility, much the way the Russians had kind of developed through their learning cycle leading into the Goodwill Games. And that's where it began. So Fargo, North Dakota was our home up until 2010.
That's something. At what point, Charlie, did because the company has this long history. At what point then did they decide to say, you know what, we have a really strong system here that can be duplicated? At what point did they decide to franchise the concept?
The concept didn't get franchised until 2006. John was a scientist, first and foremost. Yeah. So his approach was documentation of everything. He was methodical about trying to record every workout, every outcome. And he attracted other physiologists that were on top of this, that wanted to be able to do much the same thing. And so they collectively continued to, try, build protocols that would elicit the responses they were trying to get, speed and power, and kept refining them. And today we're now on our 6th revision of our training protocols. They're based on the athlete's age, physical development, gender, sport, and position. And, they're our recipe for success. And, we've gone through 6 major revisions now since John first created them to help make sure that that every athlete gets the right workout every time they come in.
And it seems like it's pretty much all sports that you focus on, Charlie. When I was on the website, I thought it was interesting. Whether it was swimming or basketball or baseball, football. It seems like you pretty much focus on all those different areas. If you were at a franchise show, how do you typically describe Athletic Republic to a prospective franchisee if they came up to your booth and they said, "Okay, so what do you guys do?" How do you typically answer the question?
Our mission is to help athletes transform potential into performance. So we're a performance sports training business. Unlike a lot of boutique fitness that's just a general fitness concept, we're about helping athletes achieve their goals. So if you're trying to make the team, if you're trying to get into the starting lineup, if you're trying to fight your way into a college scholarship, or you want to set a personal best or finish an Ironman, we're a great solution because we're focused on performance and helping you achieve those goals.
I was reading on that, I never made the basketball team when I was in high school. I always wanted to, but, I saw on your website, you said, there's only 5 spots available to really make it, So, I really would have benefited, from your type of service. So I think it's fantastic. What does Athletic Republic do differently, Charlie, that makes them stand out from their competitors? You mentioned a couple things.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. Number one, we're a small footprint facility. So we operate really well in between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet. So you can optimize overhead. And those footprints between 3,000 and 3,500, we train 20 athletes a session. In the 4,500 to 5,000 square feet, our throughput goes up to 40 athletes. So incredibly efficient process. But the reason people come to us, and the reason that's our biggest difference, is we're about winning. We're about getting results. Right. I mean, every athlete wants to win, and so they come to us to get that step on the competition. And our documented, proven approach helps them get the results they're looking for every time they come in.
It made me I had my first chance, Charlie, a couple of years ago to coach my son's baseball team, and then I realizing, and I was looking at your website, probably realizing that I probably wasn't training him most probably, the best way, saying that, was I actually doing it right, and then I was realizing, the value of your service, so I think it's really fantastic. How many locations are there currently today, Charlie? We
have 99 centers open. Number 100 opens next month.
That's great.
What your experience is with your son is not much different than anyone else across the country. We do really well with parent-coach programs for the very reason is like, hey, I'll take care of them on the field. I'll set the batting lineup and I'll coordinate practice. But I want to make sure they show up to practice prepared to play. I want to make sure they can hit for power, that they have the 5 tools dialed in that we can work on to make sure that they're better baseball players. But we do that with every sport, soccer and football and lacrosse. I mean, those are all sports that we do really well with in helping those athletes develop the skills they need, the fundamental movement skills and the functional movement skills they need to be better players. I say the one other big difference is that we deliver this not in a boot camp setting. This isn't a mass production process. This is mass customization. We train in a ratio of 1 to 5. And we do it so that we can group athletes in a way that, they could be from different sports, they can be different ages, they can come in and have trained different number of sessions with us. And it's our individualized approach to small group training and that protocol-driven process that allows us to deliver that right workout for every athlete. And that's what separates us. And what John created from the very beginning was this brainchild of being able to deliver essentially personal training in a group setting that delivers results consistently for every athlete.
Made me realize, Charlie, too, is going back to my baseball coach days is, there is a science behind all sports, isn't there? I always remember there was this one little kid on the team. I mean, he would smack the ball so far, but he was just like a little fragile kid, and then there was some other kids like twice the size, and, they weren't as fast, of course, and they couldn't hit the ball as far, and, and it makes me realize, I mean, there is a science behind sports, isn't there?
Sure, it's mechanics and efficiency. I mean, that's what moves you forward. Is 2 things that are really important. One, you got to have the right mechanics down because that's what's going to get your hip rotation in that baseball swing. That's going to transfer that power from your feet all the way through to your hands. But it's also efficiency. Think about running mechanics. Trying to make sure that you're not just shuffling through the run, but you're actually, your stride length and stride frequency is optimized, that you've got good power through both legs and that they're symmetrical, and that you have the stamina to endure. So, what we work on is the movement skills that are right for every sport so that you're prepared to play, so that you have the mechanics, that you have the efficiency to be able to not only perform, but also not get hurt.
Your typical customers, Charlie, I mean, is it a wide range then, would you say? I mean, how would you describe your well, they're probably not a typical customer, but the range of customers? Sure,
we have 4 products. Maybe it's easier to think about it that way. Acceleration is our after-school product that serves the 8 to 28-year-old, the peewee that's just starting out, as well as the the NFL player that's trying to make it into the draft.
Right.
That's speed, power, agility, and stamina. We have a program called AR Fit, which is our high-intensity interval workout for the millennial through the boomer. That's all about your daily fitness. It's functional fitness, so that if you're trying to get ready for the golf season, or you want to run a 5K, or you're trying to get ready for your ski vacation, you're coming to Athletic Republic because you want to be functionally strong. We have endurance, which is for the runner, cyclist, and triathlete. Most of those folks don't like going to the gym. They're on the roads and the pools, across the country. But, this is a way to build power and stability and efficiency so they don't get hurt. And then we have a return to play program that's really designed for the athlete that's coming back from an injury, particularly an ACL injury that they're trying to return to play for, return to competition. And so we span the gap all through different day parts and different age groups from 8 to 68, 78. We have programs that are suitable for athletes of all ages.
Wow, so it really is it's a wide range. You were mentioning that you're just opening up your 100th, Charlie. What is the growth strategy for Athletic Republic then?
Yeah, we've been historically we've been a word of mouth. Growing it by word of mouth. We have spent the last several years really working on systems, making sure that we could scale this program. Not just our training protocols, but also the business systems, the onboarding programs. We also manufacture all our equipment, so having the production capabilities. So we're on the quest right now to double our business size in the next 3 years. And so we've been working at this for the last year to prepare ourselves for this kind of growth, and we've brought on some franchise development firm, a new PR agency. We've added a number of corporate staff and expanded our service line and support functions to be able to help grow our business. And we're excited about the enthusiasm that we've already seen in the market for this concept, as well as for the athletes and communities that we're servicing.
It sounds like, I mean, it's safe to say, Charlie, that, I mean, your industry is huge. You know, health and fitness and sports just seem like, I mean, just as popular today as it's really ever been. I mean, are there any numbers as far as how big your industry is, or it's just safe to say it's big?
Yeah, it is. You know, you hear lots of numbers about the size of the health and fitness. Let me just kind of maybe put it in a different context, and that's, I look at student athletes, you know, aged 18. There's 36 million athletes today in that age group of 8 to 18, and they're obviously continuing to grow through it. There's 21 million adults that are actively fit, performing, whether it's doing triathlons or running. They have a fitness objective that's goal-driven, not just fitness-oriented or weight loss-driven. And so, you know, for us, this market size is you're right, it's massive. But what differentiates us from a regular boutique fitness studio that you know is performance. You know, we have you're going to get tested. We're going to evaluate your strengths and determine what your areas for improvement are. We're going to teach you the movement skills that you need to be better at so that you can be efficient in your sport. And we're going to train you like the other million athletes that have come before you, that have come through the doors of Athletic Republic, to make sure that you get the best results possible. So that's where the test, teach, train approach comes, is that it delivers that individualized approach to athletes' development and allows us to, you know, differentiate ourselves from boutique fitness or other boot camps that are out there, because we're delivering a performance experience that is really designed for any athlete that's trying to get better.
That's great. It was interesting because when I started studying the business model of Athletic Republic, Charlie, that's what I thought of. I thought of, you know, you mentioned Rocky IV, you know, and I said, okay, I get it. That makes sense. How does technology play a role in the business? It sounds like it's technology driven as well.
Absolutely. You know, science and technology go hand in hand. So science, you know, this isn't a theory. This is physiology. Right. And our physiology hasn't changed in a number of years. So our protocol revisions have all been about trying to improve results more efficiently. So how do I do more in less time? Because everybody's time pressed. Our physiology, that science, those principles of exercise science are applied through us to sports training. So our programming is all driven on an evidence-based approach, not some guy sitting in a room writing a workout of the day because that's what it sounds like it's a good idea. The technology comes in through video. We use video to be able to, on our treadmills, to be able to watch running mechanics and assess running performance, so that we have the treadmills are all set up on 15-second delays, or the cameras are set up on 15-second delays. So when the athletes get done with their sprint, they can step off and they can look at the results of their performance on screen, so they can absorb the coaching cues that the coach is trying to say, but also because we're a visual learner, be able to see it. We use force plates to measure symmetry between right and left leg, because every athlete has a more dominant leg, and we know that if I can make your weak leg stronger, that slow leg faster, I can make you faster, because you can only run as fast as your slowest leg. So we use the force plates to determine power output, symmetry, and also rate of force development. Our systems aggregate information, our athlete information management database that holds all your performance data and allows you to do peer comparisons between yourself and, you know, other athletes your age in your sport, in your community. So it's a matter of just being able to help you, give you more knowledge to show you what you have to do to get better, to compete on a larger scale. That's
terrific. It's like you say, you're only as strong as your weakest link. You know, it's that makes a lot of sense. What characteristics then do you look for in your franchisees, Charlie? I mean, when you're meeting with someone for the first time, I mean, is there anything that you look for in interviewing them? Yeah, absolutely. It starts with kind of, you know, our value system. You know, we're all about, you know, we're competitors. You know, I'm looking for somebody that's going to give us their best every day and not just be a participant, not an also-ran. You know, I look for somebody that works well in a team environment. Hey, you know, we're in the sports world, so teamwork is critical. So have they demonstrated their capability to drive a team, to motivate a team, to be a good teammate, to play fair, you know, to play well? You know, that leads into the next one. You know, we're in the sports world. So sportsmanship, fair play, honesty, integrity, respect, those things are really critical to us. But the two underlying components is the need to learn. You know, are you
you have the capacity, the desire for continuous improvement? Do you want to continue to get better? Do you have that quest and desire for learning? And finally, our foundation is built on empowering athletes. Do you have that passion it takes to drive this business, to help athletes in your community get better, to help your employees get better, to help everybody that walks through and touches your business improve themselves? So do you have that empowerment mentality? So those are the things that we look for. They resonate across our value stream as well, and those are the kind of characteristics that we're looking for in the profile and personality, on top of obviously having a great location and the financial wherewithal to be able to support this.
That makes a lot of sense. I imagine the training is very interesting for Athletic Republic, Charlie. Maybe what can franchisees expect from the training process?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of athletes, a lot of college graduates and athletes that want to be part of our system. So hiring trainers is not particularly difficult, especially once you're established, because you end up putting in an intern program, which is essentially a 200-hour job interview, and you'll start hiring your staff through that intern program. But for our owners, we have 2 online courses that they begin with. We have a week at Athletic Republic University here at corporate headquarters, but we also have an ongoing onboarding program called Business Acceleration. Think of it as training camp. It starts the day you begin your journey with us by signing a franchise agreement. It carries you all the way through your opening process, and we have a person dedicated to bringing in all the resources you need to make sure that you have the right real estate, that your build out and throughput is correct, that we've selected the right equipment, that you've hired your right staff, that we've done your advanced marketing and contacted influencers in your community, that we've done all the things to help you start well and be successful at the very starting point. Having opened 100 locations, we've got a lot of best practices that we can apply to this, and we know what works and what doesn't, and we'll be really hyper focused on helping our new operators get off to a great start.
What is a typical day like, Charlie, for an Athletic Republic franchisee, if there's such a thing as a typical day?
Well, most of our operators are semi-absentee. I call them active owners. They're active in the business, but they're not probably active training athletes. So they'll work anywhere from 5 to 15, 16 hours a week in the business, and they're really more mentoring. I mean, you think about the millennial they hired as their general manager or head of training, chances are they haven't had the life experience to deal with conflict, to understand how to manage a P&L, to hire and fire. And so a lot of what the owner is doing, operator is doing, is really mentoring that young person to help them be better manager. They're also opening doors in their community. They're probably pretty well connected if they've got kids in the community. They've played on the football or soccer clubs, and they're opening doors and encouraging those influencers in sport to be able to come in and have the staff show them around, take them through a workout, get them into a free trial, or host a introductory session for a team. So their activities are really about business development and mentoring.
You've been doing this for a while now, Charlie, and I was mentioning to you earlier, the majority of our listeners, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. Most of them want to get into franchising. From everything you've learned up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
There's 4 things that differentiate a good franchise and a great Athletic Republic franchise. Number 1 is you have to deliver an extraordinary customer experience. We are, even though we have a great system in place and we've got a great education module, our operators are the ones that have to have the culture permeate through their business and make sure that their product is outstanding and that their staff is customer facing and they deliver that extraordinary experience that's going to drive retention and referral. Number 2, it requires marketing 365, in that you have to be, whether you're wearing your Athletic Republic shirt into a coffee shop or you're making a connection, you have to be selling every day. This business is all about building relationships. It's not about advertising on the radio. This is an advertising-based business. You have to recruit and develop a winning team. It's that mentoring process, but like any good team, without good people on the field, it's hard to execute. So you have to continue to invest in your people, have to continue to invest in their development. And finally, you have to run the business against your KPIs. We have very solid metrics on performance. As an owner and operator, it quickly kind of kicks up the areas that you need to be concentrating on. And so we want you to make sure that you're operating against KPIs. So we'll handle almost everything else. our system takes care of those things, but for an owner-operator, those are the 4 areas that we look to them to make sure that they excel at.
What is a typical investment, Charlie, to open up an Athletic Republic franchise?
Good question. On the smaller size, at 3,000 to 3,500 square feet, you'll come in just under $250,000, and that includes the franchise fee, all your equipment, your sports flooring, and finishes. There'll probably be some TI included in your build-out if it's not already done. On the 4,500 to 5,000 square foot side, you're looking at about $300,000 plus some working capital to carry you through the first couple months.
I was going to say, Charlie, what do you look for in a location, Charlie? I mean, as far as do you like to be in some type of strip mall, or maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
That's a good question too. We're seeing more and more strip become available as the strip centers are being re-merchandised. I mean, certainly Amazon's impact on retail has been staggering, but we're experiential and we're a good tenant for a strip retail that's getting through a re-merchandising footprint. So, that 4,000 to 5,000, even 5,500 square feet is a really good, 1 or 2 bays, depending on the size of the shopping center. You also see us in light industrial, office warehouse. We do well on that size as well. That's been more historical. And we also end up frequently in co-located facilities, like in a sportsplex. Think about the Clinique counter at Macy's. It's a store-in-store. So we end up in a hockey rink or a sportsplex. Not very often a health club, but that happens sometimes as well.
Right. That's terrific. What's the best way, Charlie, for our listeners to get more information on Athletic Republic as, of course, the franchise opportunity and even the service itself? Any websites that you'd like them to go to?
Sure. Our main website, athleticrepublic.com, is a great place to start. There's tons of information, probably more than they'll absolutely get through. There's a whole franchise tab they can get into. Yes. And you fill out the form that just says request more information, and we'll get right back to you. Set up a call, learn a little bit more about you, and you can learn a little bit more about us. We'll walk you through the business economics, the training programs, the expectations that you have for us and we would have for you, and guide you through that franchising prospect to a point where you'll go through our FDD and then eventually into our franchise agreement and soon to be opened franchise operator in the Athletic Republic network.
That's terrific. Well, it's been great having you on the show, Charlie, and I'd really like to invite you back as you continue to grow, because I think this is a wonderful concept, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Marty, it's been my pleasure. You've asked great questions, and I'm thrilled to be part of your team here at Franchise Interviews. Let me know how I can help in any way. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Charlie. We'll be right back with more Franchise Interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822. Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Today's Great Quote in Franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today, you're going to get to hear from Nick Friedman, who is the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk and Moving Franchise Opportunity. And Nick said something really quite brilliant on our show that we haven't heard in over a decade of doing franchise interviews. We started speaking about the 4 F's of franchising, and interesting enough, we ended up with 5 F's of franchising as we were doing the interview with Nick. And, you know, in marketing, we talk about the 4 P's of marketing, which is product, price, promotion, and place. So I thought this was really brilliant what Nick said. So here we go with Nick Friedman, the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving Franchise Opportunity.
History.
What, you know, the majority of our listeners, we call them, Nick, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. What types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees?
You know, what I like to say is there's 4 F's when considering a franchise, which is also, I guess, starts with a letter F. So, you know, there's 4 F's that come out of franchise. And I think this is what a prospective franchise should think of when they're considering what franchise they want to pursue. And this is, quite frankly, I think what franchisors should consider when they're evaluating a prospective franchisee. So the first F is fit. You know, do they fit? In other words, do they have transferable skills that can make them effective at this business? Have they done anything in their prior professional or personal lives that would make them be successful in this type of business? The second piece is the family side. In other words, does their family support them in them pursuing this endeavor, whether it's their husband or wife or kids or parents? You know, do they believe in them? Because you don't want things to get tough in their inner circle to say, I told you so. You want them to, you know, kind of cheer them on to get through it. The financial piece is important. In other words, are they capitalized to be able to invest in the opportunity, and do they have realistic financial expectations? And then the last, can we have fun working with this individual? You know, franchising is very much like a partnership, even though that's not typically called that. So you got to have, you know, an alignment of vision and values to be able to enjoy working together. So that's really what we look for. You know, we want people that believe in the secret sauce that we've already developed. We don't want somebody to come tell us that they think it should be done differently. We want them to tell us that they believe in what we've created. And sure, we would, you know, want to continuously improve and encourage ideas, but not, you know, we want folks that believe in the system and are going to execute the system rather than trying to shortcut success by doing it, you know, doing it their own way. And I think that's, you know, really no different in our system than any other franchise model that is going to be successful long term. They need to really take into account those factors.
That's great, Nick. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. Anytime we hear, Michael Gerber's been in there a couple of times, but we're gonna put that one in there because I haven't heard that in over a decade, and I think that's great advice to our listeners. It's really fantastic because it's true. I mean, you could really, your business, you could teach to anybody, couldn't you? I mean, pretty much, But it's interesting in putting those factors in there, like family support, and even fun. I haven't heard that, but it should be an enjoyable business, and because it is a stressful situation for the customers. I guess you got to be able to put a smile on your customer's face, don't you?
Absolutely. And I mean, as you know, there's over 3,000 franchise opportunities out there. So, what's going to separate one from the other? It's got to be something that you can enjoy. And I guess I'll grab another F out of there. I'm on a roll here. Fulfillment. Is it something that we're going to be fulfilled doing day in and day out? Because I think franchising is a lot like a gym membership. If you join the gym and you've got fitness goals, you're getting access to all types of equipment, personal trainers, coaches, workout groups, but you still got to go and show up and do the work. So if you buy a franchise, you're getting access to the business model in a box. You're getting access to trainers, coaches, fellow franchisees that you can, hold each other accountable with, but you still got to show up and put in the effort to execute that business model. So that's where I think those factors come into play.
Once you decide that, you do like them, and they like you, Nick, and there is a fit, what is the training like? I mean, do they typically come to Florida for training? How does that work? If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Nick Friedman of the College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving franchise opportunity, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our franchise interviews by category page, and then go to our home repair and improvements page, and you'll be able to listen to that whole show with Nick Friedman. It was really a fantastic interview. It was great to finally have Nick on the show. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a big hit. It's hard to imagine we've been doing it now over 10 years, and it's just amazing to see where the podcast has gone. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, sponsored by Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.